Right.
We're so what we used to do, and we're trying to change that this year. So we started competing last year. I started competing 2 years ago, but I was strictly a 20 yarder, NFA 5 spot type of guy.
Right.
And I have yet to hit 60x. My most is 52x, which isn't the greatest, but I think I could get a little bit better than that after learning what I learned from ATA.
Mm-hmm.
But we started going to tournaments last year, and what we noticed we were doing was using state indoor as like the pinnacle of all of our tournaments that we go to, and we're trying to change that now, where we're giving all of our students, because we're both certified USA archery instructors, so and we do have students,
Nice.
and we kind of saw that after state indoor last year, we used it as a pinnacle. They weren't kind of coming back after that. They chose to do basketball, soccer, other sports on top, as opposed to archery. So this year, what we're trying to do is right after state, a week after state, is sectionals. Trying to get them to go to sectionals. Week,
Absolutely.
yeah, a week after that is Winter Classic at one of the local clubs around here. Then a little bit after that is nationals, just to get them to show them that exposure that archery is worldwide, and what they see in a little small shop in Wisconsin isn't truly what archery really is yet.
Sure. No, and that's exactly right. I mean, I'll go out early to the NFA Indoor Nationals and I'll cover the S3DA event on Friday morning. Dude, let me tell you something. NFA Indoor Nationals is one thing, but this event is a whole nother. They fill up the entire building,
Mm-hmm.
and they averaged last year, I think they averaged 2.87 as far as and ones, meaning for every single kid, there was 2.87 spectators with that kid, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, uncles, whatever it may be. That's how many people were coming to watch every kid. So there was no open seats. That thing was absolutely packed to the gills. And so as these kids are experiencing the increased levels of competition, it's also an increased level of event, because for guys like you can literally pull out your catalogs off the shelf, the Easton, the Gold Tip, the Hoyt, the Matthews, the PSE, the AAE, the whatever it may be, and be like, hey, kids, we're going to this tournament 4 hours away or whatever it may be here in a month. And you can literally start opening up a catalog and being like, he'll be there, they'll be there, she'll be there, they'll be there, da da da. All these people on here, they'll all be there. He's from the Netherlands. He's from Denmark. He's from Canada. She's from Denmark. He's from Great Britain. And so literally you're going to be able to have literature to show these kids. When you go to these events, these are the kinds of people that are going to be there shooting as well. And then they walk in and they see 112 booths, and they see 75 bales lined up for 150 yards. And literally in their mind, it's not an archery shoot anymore. It's an event.
Mm-hmm.
And that excitement it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I know even just state was last year for all of us except you. That was our first time shooting a large event like that, and it was it's really like, holy cow, we're doing this.
Well, absolutely.
And that was just state.
Yep. Well, I mean, and the running joke about Vegas is not a joke. And I've been there and I've done it. I mean, you'll see guys down there that'll shoot their first two ends of practice and have 3 holes in the target. They are pounding. I've been one of them. And as soon as they go first end for score, all of a sudden the air goes out of the room and you can audibly hear 1,000 buttholes slam shut. And then you miss your first arrow. When you had 3 holes down there, you shot each hole twice, and on your very first arrow for score, you shankopotamus, and you're done. The energy, you can feel it. It's palpable. And the kids are not immune to that. So whether you bring them to Vegas or Indoor Nationals, obviously Indoor Nationals is probably a little bit better because you can drive. But when you bring them to an event that has thousands, literally thousands of participants and people, they will respond in kind.
That'd be awesome to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we both chose our bows based off your video of your double XL.
Okay.
We both shoot double XLs now, and then I just saw you posted a new PSE bow.
Yes.
Switching, bud.
Well, number one, I can shoot whatever I want.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're okay. I thought you were you shot for Hoyt.
Well, I shot Hoyt for 10 years, but I can shoot whatever I want. I mean,
Okay.
I shoot Easton arrows because of how much they contribute to the sport and because Steve Anderson is a homie.
Mm-hmm.
The X10s are great arrows, don't get me wrong. I shot sick. I made more money with gold tip ultralight 300s with 140 grains up front than I ever have X10s, but I shot better back then. But what I shoot because I want to. Now, as far as AAE goes, they're our client, but I shoot what I want, and I shoot what I think is going to give me the best opportunity to perform at my highest level. It's not about winning. It's not about, it's about that. And I shot Matthews for, from 2000 until 2008 or 9. Then I switched to Hoyt, and I've been on Hoyt ever since. There was a year in there that I shot the PSE Dominator with the L6 cams. But my Hoyt Bucky Naked, the buckskin Prevail is still downstairs set up. I've been shooting it. I just shot a 450 41X in league with it a week or two ago. That bow's not going anywhere. But I've been a huge fan of that Evolve cam and what they've done with it. I've never really been able to play with it because well, I didn't have one. And it's not like I can grab Stefan Hansen's and be like, let me check this out, bro. Or Louis Holmes. I probably could have grabbed Scott Starnes, but he's only like a 30 and a half. So I just decided, I'm gonna get one of these Perform X's and I'm gonna see what I can see. Dave Cronengold is a good friend, and he's back at PSE now. He was the head engineer years ago, and he's back, which is huge for me. And he's a get shit done kind of guy. And so he asked me to try out their stock strings. I left them at full draw overnight, and they moved very, very little. So I've been incredibly impressed with that. But basically, I'm just going to give her a go. No, I have not switched. But look, I'm going to show up in Vegas with the bow that I'm shooting the best, and which might not be totally fair, to be honest, because I only got 2 weeks and I've literally not shot a single round for score out of this PSE. I did my string set. I got all my accessories on it. I got the draw length set yesterday. I got it timed. Today I actually put the sight and stabilizers on it for real, to make sure my loop was a little bit long, but got that shortened up. And so I'm literally going through the process of getting some resemblance of a bear shaft tune on it right now. And then I'll start shooting for score. I've not really did much on it for hold. God, the PSEs have a smooth hold though. God dang, it's ridiculous. But with that being said, I can shoot whatever the hell I want. I am not, yes, I'm a pro, but because I work in the industry like I do, and because of Bow Junkie, I do what I want to do. Ain't nobody the boss of me. So,
pretty sick.
As far as the double XL goes, I will probably never get rid of my 2017 double XL. For whatever reason, me and that bow we're like peas and carrots, man. It's that's the bow I shot that Scimitar Oryx at 100 with. I shot my mule deer at 88, shot my bison. That bow for me is the ticket. I didn't get along all that great with the 2018 double XL. It's gone already, to be honest.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. It held great because of the past parallel limb and all that kind of stuff. But I just could never, ever get comfortable with that cam design, that high let off. I got the lower mods. I got the bigger draw stops. But for me, me and that bow just never jived. So I took the 2017 to Alaska to hunt moose. I didn't get one. Poor me. But the double XL will be staying with me indefinitely, because I have so much confidence in that bow. It's not come out of the case since my moose trip in September, but I guarantee you right now, if you put up a balloon at 80, I could pull that bow out of the bow case. Because I'm old, I'd have to draw it a few times to get warm, but I could do work with that bow at 80, cold bore, first shot with that bow sitting in the bow case for months. That's how confident I am in that rig.
Jeez, that's how I feel about my current Pro Force. That's why I bought the double XL, was because it's 35 and 3/4 inch axle to axle. After talking to a couple of the Hoyt engineers like Zach and Evan,
Mm-hmm.
um, they said there's really no difference, and the only reason that they went with Pro Force is because they're shooting blade rest,
Right.
and that was the only thing. But unfortunately for like target guys, especially, it's all bows you buy are like sight unseen. No shop's gonna carry target
Right.
stuff, and that kind of sucks. So when I first chose my first legit, because I shot like a Hoyt Vantage Elite and I've shot like Hoyt Contenders Elite, but when the shop finally gave me an opportunity to get like a shop bow, I picked the Prevail because I saw Chris B shooting it. I saw George Royale shooting. I saw basically everybody shooting it, and I just couldn't jive with it. Like I don't know why it was. I just could not jive with that bow. And then when the year two came along, I finally switched over to the Pro Force and have not looked back since. Have not touched my Prevail since. Actually, got rid of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a totally different animal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to compare the Prevail and the Pro Force. Those are apples to oranges.
Mm-hmm.
It's different in virtually every way. The energy transfer is different. Obviously, I don't know what cam you had on the Prevail. I'll assume the spiral.
No, actually, I'm scared shitless of the spirals that
Right.
hold, and because I mean I've never had before my Vantage, I've never had a true target bow, and I was shooting like, cushy hunting bows, and then when I pulled back that spiral, I thought I was gonna break that bow. It just wanted to jump right out of my hand.
Right. Well, and that's, back to my analogy about NASCAR. You're not going to drive a NASCAR down to the store to get milk
Mm-hmm.
because they're a whole different beast. But guess what? If you want to drive 230 miles an hour in a circle, that's what you need. And
Yeah,
the car that rides great down to the store to get milk ain't going to go 230 miles an hour in a circle. And that's, and look, I was just talking to somebody the other day about this, and I think, and this is not directed at you, of course, but this started many, many years ago. But if you were to take a guy like Dave Cousins or a Jesse Broadwater or a Dan McCarthy or a Levi Morgan and compare their performances and their, you know, closing moments from the bows they were shooting 10 years ago to the bows they're shooting now, you will see a difference.
mm-hmm.
And that is because I don't know when it happened, but it did. And you guys will recognize it now. But at some point in our target history, customers started demanding that target bows feel like hunting bows. And when that happened, true target bows died.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take a Ultra Elite with 3,000 limbs with C2 cams or cam and a halves or even spirals, they were called Hoyt jackhammers for a reason. But guess what? They never changed. They hit the same hole all day, every day, and they were more consistent. And that's just a fact. The geometry, the designs of them, they weren't built for comfort. They were built to pound hole. And when you start trying to make a bow that is, when you start making a NASCAR car comfortable to drive, you're no longer going to go that fast turning left all day. It's not going to happen.
Sure.
Now you'll be doing 180 going left all day instead of 230. And that is basically what has happened to target bows. And that's just a fact. It's every company. I mean, if I still have my very first the very first Matthews Apex 8 that ever showed up in Klamath Falls, Oregon. It even has little gold fingernail polish and all the little lines of the riser. But okay, correct. But I haven't busted that thing out and shot it for about 5 years, but I did about 5-6 years ago. And I shot that thing and it was like I was like, holy, I mean, 105-inch string, and it was every shot flurp, flurp in the middle. In the
Wow.
middle. It didn't dude, I couldn't explain it. The back wall was not like they are now, but it was forgiving. And look, the companies have to respond and make what the people want. And everyone wants a target bow that's as quiet and as soft as a hunting bow. And that's not what target bows need to be the best they can. So now what you have is you have companies trying to make more efficient cams. You have them trying to put rubber all over the place and basically make what could be the most accurate system around less than what it could be because customers now want them to be. But if you were to ask pros like Dave Cousins and Jesse and all these guys, they don't give a shit about how the bow feels.
Yeah.
Most of them want some sort of feedback because you guys know when you break that shot and you get the warm and fuzzies from head to toe and you're like, oh yeah, nut. You know. However, when you make that shot and it just feels like you need to go take a shower and it just didn't feel right, the bow didn't feel right, your release didn't feel right, your form did, that's feedback. And so these legendary archers, they all lived off of that feedback. And it's not just where the dot is, it's the feedback of the bow, how the bow feels in your hand when it fires. That's basically gone for the most part. And I don't think we'll ever get it back.
It's funny because me coming from a hunting background, hunting bow is all I've been around until I see him with his Prevail. Every single time we're shooting, I'm like, dude, something's wrong with that bow. It's way too loud. Something's wrong with it.
Right.
We've had multiple people. It's loud and it like rattled like crazy. My arms were hurting just from like the aftershock. I was like, there's something wrong with this thing.
Well, and in some cases there might be. I mean, my Prevail at 32 inches is super quiet. So if you have a super loud Prevail at that draw length, you might have, my first instinct would be probably have some loose rocker pins. So I would tighten up the rocker pins on it. There are some things on those bows that do come loose. I mean, one of the, speaking of PSEs, the bow that Chance Bobeff won back-to-back Vegases with was the PSE Moneymaker. Extremely deflex geometry, pretty stand-up limb pockets.
Yeah.
And if you weren't holding on to that bitch, it would hit the ground 6 feet in front of you because it wanted to jump. It wanted to jump. And that's a geometry issue because with these past parallel limb design bows like your Pro Force, when you come to full draw, the energy transfer is collapsing. It's coming down on itself. So when it fires, it's up and down. Well, with Prevail, it's not quite as much. It's less. So that the energy is actually transferring a little bit more forward and back as opposed to up and down. Well, you take these bows from target bows from 10 years ago, there was no up and down. It was all forward and back.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And so, but the PSE, what's the bow now? The Supra Focus. I saw that bow at the ATA from the AAE booth, and I literally thought it was the Moneymaker. So I walked over.
I thought that too. I had a Moneymaker, and I was like, damn, that looks just like it.
It basically is. Now, it's not quite as deflexed, but the riser stance and everything about that bow screams Moneymaker. So I talked to Dan Jazza, and I'm like, what you got on my Moneymaker, homie? And he literally said, yeah, it's damn near that geometry. And he said it's the best holding bow he's ever shot. And look, he gets to shoot all the PSEs, and they all hold good. But he said this Focus holds better than any of the other bows. And as a form and function of the change in geometry and the transfer of energy, with the deflexed riser, it holds better longer
Hmm.
because of the way the energy is transferred. And so Dan's doing extremely well with it. But it's only a 37 inch. I say only. It's a 37, 4.5 inch over axle. So it's a 41.5 inch total bow. Be great for you, not for us. But I did hear a nasty rumor, Graham, that they are making that in a 40-inch model. So it'll probably come in 40.5, which with the 4.5 over, it's going to be a 44.5, 45-inch bow. I don't care I don't care if things work out with this Performex or not. There is no way in hell I am not going to try a Focus in 40 inches. Have to. That geometry is the most winning geometry. You had a Conquest, right?
Yeah,
Well,
I had
there
a
you have.
Conquest 4, and it was with the Minimax cams.
Oh, look at you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I shot that thing pretty well. To be fair, out of the 51 bows, most of them never lasted more than 2 days. Some didn't even last more than 15 minutes. It was more of a turn and burn.
Are you like getting these off of a truck as they fall out the back, or what's the deal?
No, I live and breathe archery. So if I'm not watching archery, like I'm dying to watch that Lancaster Classic pretty soon. Like, or not watching memes, I'm on eBay scouring for bows and like just looking for tons and tons of bows to try. Every time a bow comes in the shop that I've never seen before, I want to shoot it. So I
That's
live and breathe archery, and it's sometimes when it just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel right. So turn and burn. And plus, if somebody offers me, twice as much as I paid for it, I'm gonna get rid of it.
well, that's called being fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm not kidding, guys. If you not you, Josh, but if you lay eyes on a used Supra Focus,
Mhm.
you should try that bow. Simply for the familiarity of geometry. For someone like you that's ran through that many bows in a short amount of time, you're going to notice that geometry difference right away.
Yeah, we had the PSE rep come through our shop, and I shot the Super Focus, liked it. I was actually very impressed with the shoot down. I thought that was a cool bow.
Lots of people like the shoot down. The shoot down's a great bow. A lot of people like it because it looks badass. It looks like something the Predator would kill you with,
Yeah.
which is cool. The shoot down's done extremely well. I'm speaking of old school geometry familiarity. I'm talking about someone who's, someone like myself who's been around a long time that goes, oh, now we're talking ultra elite, pro elite differences. Because I can remember back in the day, people would be like, why does Hoyt even make an ultra elite and a pro elite? Those risers aren't the same, dude.
Yeah.
Hello, the pro elites, but more deep. I mean, come on. They're not the same. Just because, no, they're not the same. And so, for me, that's the kind of stuff I look at nowadays. Because let's be honest, things have got dry as a popcorn fart in archery.
Yeah.
Um, what's the next advancement? You tell me. I don't know. I saw a bow shooting 400 feet per second 15 years ago. It had a 3-inch brace height.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What?
that one.
Yeah. What?
That's not forgiving.
No. I mean, what? It was it was Kevin Struthers. So, I mean, what's the next advancement? The fast bows? That ain't it. Because there are bows that do 375. You guys know. Are those the bows you sell? No.
No.
A guy may walk in and be like, I want that 370 foot per second bow until he shoots it once. He's like, holy shit. What is, well, you wanted a nitro fuel dragster. You got it, brother.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. What else you got? Well, let's go down here to these mere 340 foot per second bows, and you can shoot like the rest of us mortals. But the whole speed demon thing is what it is, but it's just marketing. And
Yeah.
there for a long time, there was a race to have the fastest bow. Um, the Mamba was extremely fast. Pete Shepley's been a speed demon his whole entire life. So generally speaking, PSE generally, keeps their foot on the throat of actually shootable fast bows, uh, of big companies. But no, I mean, it's, that's just part and parcel of what happens. So what are we going to be looking at for the next advancement? I mean, looking at your Proforce,
Mhm.
how many times over the last 10 years has Hoyt tried to come up with a replacement cam for the spiral?
Uh, I know. Well, the SVX is just basically the spiral cam.
Modulate.
But yeah, but not. I mean, that's what I've noticed too. I even asked them. You guys. I've seen basically going from Ultra Elite, Contender Elite, Pro Elite, all these running XT 1000, 2000, 3000 limbs. You guys are still running XT 2000 limbs to this day. If you look down at the tune chart, it
Right.
says XT 2000 limbs. I could swap that with a Contender limb, 15 years ago, and it'll shoot the same.
Well, your load ratios might be a little bit different because of the flexing of the limbs and how they load for the given limb pocket angle. But yes, basically you can. A lot of those 2000 limbs on different configurations will be 10 pounds different limbs in another configuration. But you look at all these GTXs and all the different cams that Hoyt's tried to make over the years, they still can't get rid of the spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I don't know. Is there a better, better might not be the right word. Is there a more successful single target cam design in the sport than the spiral cam ever?
No, I
Can't
don't
be.
think so.
No, never. And as much as I loathe Hoyt changing shit every 2 goddamn years and making all their pros change, it's like, here, we're going to give you 2 years. You get 1 year to get used to it and suck, and then you better be good the next year. Oh, you're changing again. I mean, I'm not saying that they should let guys roll out there with ultra elites with 3,000 limbs and C2 cams from 2005. But if a guy's going to go out there with that bow and win everything, maybe you should read the room. But that's their business model. That's what they do. It's fine. But that cam, dude, that cam wins. It wins. And the reason it wins is because stability under pressure, it has more built-in tension in the whole system. Like if you take, like one of the tests that I do with any new bow is the first thing I'll do, bare bow, is I'll draw it back, and then I will literally take the hand that's holding the bow and I'll just twist the riser at full draw. And I want to see how much tension. Let off plays some role in it, but I want to know how much tension is in that system at full draw, because that tension in the system at full draw is what helps with nerves, it helps with stability, and it helps with performing under pressure. That's why you don't see any pros out here shooting 90% let off, because you can't.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get any amount of pressure on you, a little extra pressure on the side of the string, that string only has 13 pounds of tension on it. Well, with 90%, you're looking at probably under 10 pounds of tension on it at full draw. You can literally stick your finger in the peep and change it at full draw. There's just no tension on it.
Yeah.
And so that causes under pressure, your front stabilizer starts to waggle. It just causes issues. And so the spiral cam is, why they keep wanting to create these other cams. Maybe I don't know, but they modulated the spiral and it's still doing pretty well once they got the bugs worked out.
Yeah. The next generation is going to be bows with the sweet spot built into them.
Well, that might not be far from the truth. That sweet spot is Levi Morgan actually has been tinkering with his of late, and he sent me a target the other day that made me throw up in my mouth a lot. He literally sent me a target that he had shot a 450 45X on, and the bottom left target, I swear to God, was probably 14 out of 15 inside out supers. The bottom right target was easily 10 inside out supers out of 15. And the top one, yeah, it was the worst target, but he never came close to touching the line, but he had wallowed out the X pretty decent. And I was just like, well, holy shit. And so he actually showed up. He's shooting it this weekend at the Classic. Mm-hmm. And so I was texting with him today. And, I've really been, I don't know if you guys have watched any of my live feeds on it, but I've really been working on, manipulating the threshold and sliding the shoot window to maximize and basically force the individual archer to do a certain thing. Like for me, I'm actually shooting off the red now. because,
Really?
yeah. So I slide my shoot window to where when I come to full draw, the green light's on. And then as I load into the shot, my green light will start to come on and off. And that's where I shoot. Now I have enough built into the bottom that if I start to, it's called bleeding off tension. If I start to bleed off tension, and my green light goes off, that's automatic disqualification, let down. If you shoot that, you deserve to die type stuff. And so, but for me, what that's doing is it's giving me the room for error with the green, but it's forcing me to maintain a tighter tolerance of pressure when that red light is coming on and off. And if the red light stays on, I'm okay with that because very, very rarely do you miss because of a good, strong shot.
Yeah.
It's usually always because you bleed off pressure and you start flexing instead of pulling.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody does is guys will be like, I'm pulling the limbs off the bow. Well, no, actually you're flexing. So you're flexing instead of pulling. And that's why guys will think they're pulling the limbs off the bow and you can literally watch their arrow creep forward or they're not even on the stops of the cams. So today, Levi missed 5Xs, which is stout, very, very stout. It's his first tournament of the year because he has the show and the hunting and all that. He's been doing shows and he's not really been able to shoot a whole ton for indoors. So to show up and shoot 5Xs down, that's balling. And so he told me today, because he's still tinkering with it. I started explaining the manipulating the shoot window and adjusting that. He still has his threshold at 10, which if you're listening to this, Levi, that's too much, but whatever. He needs to tighten up that threshold a little bit and then manipulate the window to work best for him. But Levi has discovered using the sweet spot that he bleeds off tension too. And when he bleeds off tension is when he misses. And so today, 3, 1, 2, 3, right in between 2 and 5, 2 and 4, 3 of his 5Xs he missed today, his light went out and he immediately dipped low and the shot fired. So as you're bleeding off tension, that's when you get a low shot. Hence your seminar at ATA, learning how to properly load with your back and your shoulders and everything. So as you lose that tension, and I've seen it, the green light and your dot will simultaneously, it's the craziest thing that reacts so quick. But he literally said his green light went off and the shot fired on 3 of the 5Xs he missed. Now, I don't know. I've donated enough to Levi that I'm used to it by now, but I don't think people understand when you take someone like a Levi Morgan and a Jesse Broadwater, when they start having that sort of information up here, how dangerous that's going to be. Because now he's not just going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I missed those 3X, I missed 5Xs and that's not bad. Maybe I just got weak on a couple shots. I don't know. I'll do better tomorrow. Well, now they have the actual tangible evidence to say, okay, I missed 5Xs, but on these 3, I can look at the readout on my program for the sweet spot and it shows me exactly why I missed those. So now what do you think Levi's going to do tomorrow come those matches? I mean, we were texting today. I'm like, okay, knuckle dragger. Number 1, first thing is you need to slide that window to give yourself a little bit more room for error. So basically, if you're going to bleed off pressure, that's okay, but you need to build into the shoot window that forgiveness. So if you lower your window by 1, that's going to give you a little bit more tension in there to see where that is. If your window is already too low, which it sounds like it is, if his light's going out and he's immediately bobbing low and missing, he needs to raise his window by 1 because then that's going to force him to keep that little bit of added tension in there. And then that dip low is not going to happen. He did say on a couple of other shots, his red light actually blinked a couple times. So that was telling him that he was a little bit excited and he was pulling hard in the beginning, but then he was able to calm down and relax into his shot. So as Levi learns the sweet spot and he's able to close his threshold, because his threshold is 10, which I think is too much, but what am I going to tell Levi Morgan? And where his shoot window is located, Once he starts to get a little bit more comfortable with those, I mean, this is dude. He literally showed up to Lancaster cold turkey shooting the sweet spot. That takes balls. I mean, we already know he knocks when he walks, but that's just what. Yeah. Like that visual. But anyway, so as Levi learns where he needs to be, it's going to be a dangerous thing. Do either of you guys have a sweet spot yet?
No, I want one so
Yeah,
bad.
just saw it for the first time at ATA.
Yeah,
and I was like, that is going to be
I want one so
Yeah.
bad. I probably should hit up Donnie Thacker for one.
right.
Well, dude, look, I mean, of course you should hit up Donnie, but you work at a shop, and I'm assuming that you're able to get things at dealer cost, right?
Not us personally. We're not. We get 15% off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15% off dealer?
No, MSRP.
You broke up there for a second. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I mean, it is literally, I mean, if you two are on a budget, I'm not even kidding you, you guys could share one. When you get it, if you're running through 52 bows in 3 years, I'm not sure what kind of budget you're on. Let's just be honest there. But you guys could literally share one and alternate, not shots, of course, because you have to recalibrate. But all you would have to do is get an extra wire and LEDs and sensors just for an extra bow. Literally set one up on each, and you guys could literally train with it on alternating days.
That'd be cool.
Sure.
If cost is an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it has the live feed out, so you could literally record your 500 shots, and then he could record his 500 shots, and you could analyze them and adjust it accordingly.
Yeah.
Or you could sell one of those 52 bows and just buy 2 of them. I'm just saying.
I'm reevaluating my decision. Right behind that computer is a super expensive camera. I'm probably just gonna return that to the sweet spot. But,
well, yeah, I got to have a bunch of camera gear for Bow Junkie, so I get it. But man, August Peters handles all that stuff. But no, I mean, especially for guys like you, it's helped me a bunch. Mainly because I don't get to practice as much as I used to. But knowing that your form and knowing that stuff is in line is incredibly beneficial.
Yeah, speaking of Bow Junkie, that's probably the last one. I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate your time already.
You bet.
But, I mean, what advice do you have for us? The only reason that we started this podcast was we were noticing, we talked to each other, and while we're at work for literally 5 to 6 hours a day on the phone, strictly about archery. And then I was thinking one day, dude, we should record our conversations. And then he went up to me and said, we should upload these conversations. So then that's what we kind of started thinking of doing. And then went to ATA, had our minds completely blown, thought we were the shit, found out we didn't know shit. And, I mean, what advice do you have for us? We're just 2 guys just trying to learn as much as we can with this podcast.
Well, the first of all is be real. Keep, be true to who you are. Be true to, what you are. And the most important thing that I can say is this. And take this however you want. Everybody wants to know everything. So absolutely be aware and cognizant of what you know. But it's more important to know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's how so many people get in trouble. That's how so many people get caught slipping and tripping, is they don't know. They won't admit what they don't know. And there is nobody that knows all of it. So know what you don't know and have fun, man. Have fun with it. If you're not going to have fun with it, sell those microphones, sell all the shit you're doing this with, and kick rocks.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to have fun with it, why even bother? You're not going to get rich doing this. So if it's not going to be fun, then don't do it. Your guys' enthusiasm and your guys' situation right now, it basically has you living what you're talking about. And that's great. So what you have, look, I can tell stories from 2000, 1999 and 2000 when I was in your position. No one gives a shit about that. Yeah, they may laugh when, Poole missed his first 2 errors ever for score. Okay, that's cool. That's funny. But they're not relating to that. They're not relating to The very first bow I was ever given was a 145-pound Oregon Windwalker that I shot 24 19s out of with fingers. And I pressed it with a come along in a doorway. So no one cares about that shit. No one relates to that. Those days are gone. You know, the joke I made earlier about I would check with everybody in the house to see if anyone needed to make a phone call before I got on the internet. That's not a fucking joke.
Yeah.
That's real. But you guys can't. Yeah, you're like, oh, that's funny, old bastard. But you're not really relating to that. You're just like, damn, that must have sucked. So what you guys have is, and you guys are in an advantageous position of coming up in this day and age where your stories, your learning curve, your experiences are going to be relatable to everybody watching and listening on this magic box right now. I didn't have that. Dudley, none of us had that. You guys have the opportunity to go through your learning curve, tell your stories, tell your adventures, tell your mistakes to a captive audience that's going to be able to relate to it. Guys like me, we're going to go, ha ha, I remember doing that. But it's not relatable. Right. It's not relatable for a lot of people. Old stories, because that's just not what archery does. It's not who archery is. Let's be honest. How many people saw Terry Ragsdale walking around the ATA and gave a shit about it? Terry Ragsdale was at his very first ATA this year. And most people probably not even have no idea who he is. Archery has Bruce Cole. If you ever get a chance to go out to Yankton, they have an archery hall of fame there that will blow your mind. Blow your mind. They'll have 500 people there for a shoot, and you can go back there at any given time and there will be nobody in the museum. Archers just don't give a shit. They care about what's happening right meow. So it's great for me being 48. I'll be 49 here in another month or two. It's great. I can talk shit and I'm young at heart and, whatever. We can do our thing. But you guys are in a position where, look, podcasts are the flavor of the month right now. Everybody's trying to do a podcast. And guess what? Everybody's trying to do a podcast about information. Well, I'm sorry. Watching everybody else's fucking videos and then coming onto a podcast and trying to act like it's yours, people don't care about that. You want to know what people care about? People care about people like you guys watching videos and then telling everybody how bad you fucked up trying it and how you finally got it right. And how, okay, I watched this big dipshit GP's video and I had to watch it 4 times because I had no idea what that dumbass was talking about. And then when I got it, I tried it and I messed it up 3 times. But guess what, guys? When I finally got it, holy shit. Not only does that work, it changed a bunch for me. That's what people care about. People don't care. People don't care because they have access to the same information. So how many people do you think at home right now are going to relate to me and my experiences from 18, 19 years ago when there was no goddamn internet? God, that sucks. Rotary phones and shit. But seriously, versus you guys right now, literally going through the exact same learning curve I did, but you're doing it in the modern age. So you have the capability, and the people out there are going to have the same information as you. When you say, hey, we watched Greg Poole's video on whatever it may be, guess what? They're going to go watch it. And then they're going to have their own experience, and they're going to want to live their experience as you guys are telling your experience. Because you guys don't do everything the same. So as you guys are learning via the internet, all this technical data, share your experiences about it. That's what's going to capture people, because that's authentic. Period. That's what it is. Be authentic. Trying to regurgitate, well, I mean, if you guys have watched any of my live feeds, when it comes to a bow build, what's one of the first things I say? If you're watching this live feed to learn how to tie in a peep or tie in a D-loop, you should leave now. I'm sorry, it's true. The people that follow me are not tuning into my shit to watch me tie in a D loop. If you need me to tell you how to tie in a D loop, bruh, we have a failure to communicate. Because that's not what I do. There's a bajillion videos out there on how to tie in a D loop and tie in a peep. I'm not doing it. I have X amount of time in my feeds to do what I do. And the stuff that I do is not for beginners. I'm not going to lie. You guys have probably watched some of it. There's probably some shit you're like, what the hell is this guy even talking about? But at some point in your development, in your technical growth, you're going to watch that same video and be like, yep, that's exactly how you do that. And you're going to care about it. So be authentic, know what you don't know, and relate your stories to your listeners as it pertains to the both of you going through the journey of learning what thousands of people out there are also trying to learn. That's it. And have fun, man. As soon as it stops being fun, kick rocks.
Well, definitely had fun here tonight. That's for sure.
I appreciate your time. Really, really do appreciate your time. So glad we were able to do. When I saw you at AT, I was like, holy shit, that's Greg Poole right there. And couldn't believe it. Can't believe you're on the podcast now. Can't believe we're talking to you right now. But I really do appreciate all your time.
Anytime, guys. Anytime you guys want to chat about anything in particular, let me know. I'll jump on here with you guys anytime. It's not a problem.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. I hope you have a good night. Good luck in Vegas, bud.
All right, man. See ya.
See ya.